Couldn't find any dumbbells at the store today. Oh, didn't see you there. What's up, team? Brandon here, back again for another workout split. I couldn't find any dumbbells at the store, but they did have a resistance band. So we're gonna put together an upper body and a lower body resistance band workout, kind of hitting all the major muscle groups and some of the smaller ones. But with that said, let's get started. The good thing about resistance bands is that they actually train our muscles to work with a different velocity, different force at different parts of the movement. For example, with something simple like a bicep curl, the hardest part of that movement with a dumbbell is generating the force to bring it from zero up to your shoulder, versus the resistance band. The more we stretch this, the more resistance there is. So the hardest part with the curl is actually going to be getting it to that top part of the motion versus getting it started from the bottom part. So with that, I'll put a link in the description where you guys can actually find some resistance bands. The one I got here is just a spree, came with this nice door attachment. We'll be using that in a little bit. But our first exercise is going to be a band push-up. So what we're going to do, feed our hands through the loops here and kind of just basically toss this band over the back. We're going to go down into a push-up position, kind of like this. So going down to the ground. We're going to go up into that nice plank position, get some push-ups. This is going to add a little bit of resistance to the top of the motion, where most of the time we're used to the hardest part being from the ground pressing up. This time it's that other half of the movement where we're already up a little bit, but that resistance kicks in and we have to press through. So again, we're going to go down into that plank position, keep those elbows in, say hi to Yoda, he's the cat, likes to make guest appearances in the video. With this one, we're going to go about 10 to 12 reps. We're doing 2 sets here, but we're going to combine this with some other exercises, those being overhead press and something else I'll show you at the end here. So we're going to stagger our stance, put that band behind the foot. We're going to bring the hands up behind us, and we're just pressing straight up, coming back down. With these, we want kind of a 90-degree angle at the elbows on our way down, pressing up. Keep your core engaged here. A lot of the times we'll see people kind of leaning back like this and pressing. That puts a lot of the pressure in your lower back. But if you can actually squeeze your abs, it's going to help neutralize the spine. The easiest way to do that is to imagine someone's about to poke you in the stomach, how you kind of bear down like that. We want to do that. So we're going to go 12 to 15 reps there. So the cool thing about bands is that we can actually just double them up on one side to kind of double the resistance. So we're going to do our pull downs from that door attachment. We're going to go down into one knee, kind of lean forward, and then we're going to pull straight down, straight back. Really squeeze the lats, keeping that chest up nice and high and that core engaged, so we're not rounding forward too much. Coming all the way up and then pulling back down again. You're going to get a really good contraction in the lats with this. It's kind of simulating somewhat of a lat pull down. We're going to go 8 to 10 reps on each side. And then once we're done with those, we'll actually take our rest break for this first time. That's going to be 30 to 45 seconds, and then we'll go through that circuit one more time. For our second circuit, we're going to start with a single arm press. Similar to a bench press or like a decline press, we're going to start with the hands kind of up high, and we're going to press down. The nice thing about doing a single side movement is that we can actually clear the center of the body and get a little bit of adduction at the arm, which means we're kind of bringing that arm into the body, versus a bench press where we're kind of locked in. We're not really getting any adduction. So with this, we can press and actually come across, totally shortening that muscle, getting the best contraction, the best kind of bang for your rep with that. We're going to go 8 to 10 reps here, no rest, keeping that core engaged once again, the spine nice and neutralized. We're going to press straight out and across the body, bringing that elbow right back in. With the band movements and pretty much anything where you're using your hands, we want to keep our wrists in a power position. And what I mean by that is, as we're pressing, we're not letting the band kind of pull our wrists back as we go. It's going to put a lot of pressure in the carpals and kind of the wrist joint. We want to keep everything in line, so keep the knuckles and our bones in our wrist, our carpals, in line with the forearm as we press, versus letting that wrist kind of turn back like that and really crank and damage that joint. So again, going 8 to 10 reps with these presses on each side. No rest, we're gonna go right into face pulls. So this one is for our upper back, mid to low traps, all those posture muscles. So if you notice you're starting to kind of hunch forward from sitting on the couch all day and not being at work, or you just work a sedentary job, posture is something that can be compromised. So we want to make sure we're building up the endurance of those muscles so that we're not hunched back. Over time, gravity tends to pull everything down and in anyways, so we're kind of fighting that as well. But these are a great way to combat that. So we're going to stand kind of far away. We're going to keep our hands up high. What we're going to do here, pull our elbows straight back and pull those hands kind of right over the elbow. So we're getting a really good squeeze in that upper back and then coming all the way forward, making sure we're letting our muscles kind of totally lengthen and then totally shorten with each rep here. So we're going to go 10 to 12 reps. And no rest with that one as well. Once we're done with that, we're going to take this band off of the door attachment, go right into laterals. So for our side of our shoulder here, or our lateral delt, we're going to put one foot on out front. Doesn't matter which foot. You can switch each set if you want, but it's not going to make too big of a difference. We're going to come straight out to the sides, pause for just a split second, and back down. So you're not going to be packing on too much mass with these, but it's good to kind of build that V shape, build the wider shoulders, and then help with shoulder stability as well. We're going 10 to 12 reps here. 30 to 45 seconds rest at the end, and then going through that whole circuit one more time. Our third circuit here, we're going to start with a single arm fly. So we're going to double up the band again. This time, instead of standing kind of straight out, we're going to actually turn our body, step away so that our arm is totally straight when we're starting this rep, forcing our muscles to create a lot of tension, a lot of force right off the bat. We're going to come straight across the body, squeeze that chest as we come across, and then nice and slow on the way back. So for these, we're going to go 10 to 12 reps on each side. There's going to be no rest here. We're going to go right into pullovers. So with these, we're going to kind of step back, hinge at the hips, push the butt out a little bit, arms straight, so there's already tension on those bands when we start this movement. And then what we're going to do is bring our hands straight down by our hips. So with this, I always like to say we're imagining there's an orange in our armpit, and with each rep as we come down, we're trying to squeeze the juice out of that orange. Really going to get a good contraction kind of in the lats, a little bit in the serratus, which are kind of bordering the obliques in our core. But these are really good. You're going to feel these if you're using that mind-muscle connection. Squeeze the orange. We're going 12 to 15 reps here, and no rest with that one. We're going to go right into front raises, which are our last of the three. So take that band out of your strap. We're coming down. Same position starting as the laterals, but this time we're going to come straight up front. So with the shoulder, we have a few heads there. We have the anterior, the lateral, and the posterior. Obviously, the side laterals are working the lateral head. The front raises are going to work that anterior part, similar to a push-up and overhead press, but it's just going to help with that pressing power. With the front raises, we're going 8 to 10 reps here. We want to save the shoulders for some of the exercises we have coming up and take into account that they've already been used a lot, so they're going to be a little fatigued. But upon completion of those 8 to 10 reps, we're going to give ourselves about 30-45 seconds of rest and then go through that one more time. So we're done with our big compound movements. We're going to move into arms now, so just biceps and triceps. We're going to start with a single arm overhead extension. I'm doubling up just because I like to create a little more tension for myself, make these a little bit harder. You can do these just single, like so. So I'll show you kind of the original version first and then kind of that harder version. We're going to go into a stagger stance here, lift those elbows up, lean forward. So once our elbows are totally flexed, we're having a little bit of tension on the bands to start. Keep that core engaged so we're not rounding the lower back. And then we're pressing straight out and then nice and slow on the way back. If we're doing both arms at the same time, we're going to go a little bit higher rep, 12 to 15. If we're doubling up, we're going to go 8 to 10. Stagger stance. If I'm pressing with my right arm, I want my left leg forward. Again, keep that elbow nice and high. We're gonna press straight out, keeping the wrist in that power position, really feeling the tricep working here. I'll show you on this side so you might be able to see it. Oops. Elbow up high, pressing straight out, nice and slow on the way back. So again, 8 to 10, going right into bicep curl single arm after that. So if you're wanting something a little simpler, we can do both arms at the same time. Again, going a little higher rep there, 12 to 15. If you need something more challenging with this band, we can go one arm at a time here, and we're gonna go 8 to 10. So this time we're gonna keep that same side out front, just so it's a little bit of a more comfortable movement. So keep that wrist in the power position, elbow tucked in. What we don't want to see is swinging forward like that and basically turning it into a front raise. I'm going to keep that elbow tucked in, core engaged, chest up nice and high. Squeeze on the way up, nice and slow. Work that eccentric phase of movement on the way down. So 8 to 10 there. I'm going to take 30 seconds, rest, and then go through that one more time. All right, last superset of the day. We're going to start with a reverse grip extension. So this one, we want to keep those elbows tucked in again this time. We're going to go with an underhand grip or the reverse grip, keeping the wrists in that power position. We're going to extend both arms straight back. Stepping back so that there's some tension on these bands before we even start. Keep those elbows pinned in, extend the arms straight back. Pause for 1 second at the end of that rep. And then nice and slow on the way up. With these, we're really going to feel them. This is the one that's going to make you probably the most sore, just because we don't do a lot of this movement, a lot of extending at the elbow throughout our day-to-day life. But it's really good for building up the triceps, making the arms look bigger by having all 3 heads of the tricep be worked, be stronger, be bigger. And then last one, we're going to pair that with the reverse grip curl. So this time, I'm actually going to stand with both feet on this band, go out wide, make it a little bit tougher. We're going to go with an overhand grip here, elbows pinned in, wrists in that power position. I like my thumbs over the bar. That's just going to help me work my forearms a little bit more, work on that grip strength, keep that chest up, core engaged so the spine's nice and neutral, pulling straight up, nice and slow on the way down. So we're going to be working the forearms with this one a little bit more with that thumb kind of hooked over. So again, really good for grip strength. Biceps called the bicep, means 2 heads. We have our short head and our long head. With the reverse grip, we're going to hit that long head or the outside. And then with an underhand grip, we're going to be working the short head. But 30 seconds of rest after that, and then go through the tricep and the bicep movement again. That's pretty much it, guys, for the upper body workout though. Again, I'll leave a link in the description where you can find these bands. If you can find one with that door attachment, go for it. It's really useful and makes it a lot safer. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you give this one a try.